For the 6 weeks leading up to December 15, the work calendar of Laura Holdredge, a healthcare navigator in Salt Lake City, Utah, was booked solid. She and her colleagues at the Utah Health Policy Project worked overtime helping people sign up for insurance on healthcare.gov. Because of cuts imposed by the Trump administration, other navigator organizations in the state had reduced the ranks and were sending the clients to Holdredge and her team. She warned some that she could squeeze them in, but they would have to share their appointment with someone else. Toward the end, she ran out of appointment slots and began simply referring people to healthcare.gov. When they did sit down for their appointments, some people would ask, "Obamacare is gone, right?" So went the first full Obamacare open enrollment under President Trump. It was surprisingly strong, with 8.8 million people signing up during the 6-week period that ended last week. That's 96% of the total during last year's open enrollment, which was twice as long. These numbers debunk that theory that people don't want it, that it's not a good product, said Emily Barson, a senior advisor with the national group Get America Covered, which assisted the cash-strapped navigators in spreading the word about open enrollment. It's also somewhat surprising, given the Trump administration's many efforts to undermine and besmirch the law that's named after the president's predecessor. It slashed funding for advertising about the open enrollment period and cut grants to navigators. It also halved the enrollment period and shut down healthcare.gov, the site people use to buy insurance, on several Sundays during open enrollment. In October, Trump announced he would end payments to insurers, the so-called cost-sharing reductions, that help cover expenses for low-income customers. Without them, some insurers threatened to raise the rates or pull out of the Obamacare marketplaces. That same day, he signed an executive order encouraging the sales of skimpier insurance plans, which could undercut the more robust plans sold by Obamacare. Obamacare is finished. It's dead. It's gone, Trump said in October, just weeks before open enrollment for Obamacare began. That kind of misinformation is very difficult to combat in a state where most people voted for the president and tend to believe the president first, said Shelley Quenger, the director of programs at a South Carolina navigator organization called the Palmetto Project. To persuade people that Obamacare was not quite dead yet, she would gently walk them through the window shopping feature of healthcare.gov, where they could see plans that were available. But with half as many navigators as the Palmetto Project could afford in past years, it was tough. Quenger and her colleagues simply couldn't reach some rural parts of the state. It makes you sad for people who need information and just aren't going to get it based on where they live, she said. Interviews with healthcare navigators across 8 states this week revealed a frenzied time in which navigators were forced to do more with less. People came in confused about whether their insurance would be cut off mid-year. Some received letters quoting premiums that were much higher than they turned out to be. Still, almost all said they saw enrollment figures that were better than expected. 11 states have extended deadlines for enrolling. None of the navigators I interviewed were based in those states. Before open enrollment starts, navigators go to community events and phone bank to raise awareness about the Affordable Care Act. In some places, they also place radio, TV, and social media ads. Much of that advertising effort was reduced this year, some said, because of the cuts to the grants. Holdredge, in Utah, doubled down. She and her colleagues made flyers and spent part of September calling back past clients to tell them to come in during